Welcome to PAATH History YouTube channel. Subscribe our channel for regular notification and follow our official Facebook page. Today we are going to discuss about political organizations in the Vedic Age. The chief sources of information on the early history of the Aryans in India are the Vedas, perhaps the oldest literary remains of the Indo-European language group. The early Aryans, who were essentially pastoral, did not develop any political structure which could measure up to a state in either the ancient or the modern sense. The Rig Veda mentions 30 clans and tribes. 5 of them are major ones and are referred to as Panchajana. Kingship was the same as tribal chiefship, the term Rajan being used for the tribal chief. Primarily a military leader, the chief of the tribe fought for cows, protect the herds of cattle, or Gopati, protected and ruled over his people or Jana and not territory. He was therefore called their protector or Gopujanasya or Gopatijanasya. The word Jana occurs 27 times in the Rig Veda, but Janapada is not mentioned at all, and the term Rajya occurs only once. Yet the idea of territorial monarchy emerged towards the close of the Rig Vedic period, when the chief or king or Rajan came to be looked upon as an upholder of the Rashtra. The king's position was not beyond question. Very likely he owed his office to the choice of the people, though kingship was perhaps confined to certain families. Available evidence does not indicate the continuance of royal succession in one family for more than 3 to 5 generations. Tribal assemblies like the Sabha and the Samiti, which discharged judicial and political functions, substantially limited the king's authority. According to one view, the Sabha was a council of the older members of the tribe. Perhaps women also attended it. The Samiti was a general tribal assembly and was less exclusive than the Sabha. Another tribal assembly, the Vidatha, also may have restricted the power of the Rajan, though its political role is not possible to determine precisely. The only surplus that was available was the form of Bali, mentioned in the Rig Veda several times in the sense of tribute to a prince or an offering to God. Tribute paid to the chief was obligatory but not regular. A functionary called Senani is referred to, but information about a regular standing army is lacking. About half a dozen state officials are mentioned in the Rig Veda, including the chief queen known as the Mahishi and the charioteer. Certain rudiments of state had begun to appear, but the political system on the whole was a tribal chieftainship. The material and social developments of the latter Vedic age were amply reflected in the contemporary political system. In a passage of the Atharva Veda, the Rashtra or territory is said to have been held by the king and made firm by the king Varuna and the gods Brihaspati, Indra and Agni. The coronation ceremony, called Rajashuva, for which a fixed place was necessary, is said to have extended over 2 years. The territorial aspect of kingship is clear from a text which enumerates 10 forms of government prevalent in different parts of the country. Unlike the earlier period, kings now ruled over territories and not over nomadic groups moving from place to place. Several kingdoms came to be established. In the Kuru Panchala or Delhi Meerut Mathura region, the Kurus ruled from Hastinapur, where excavations have revealed settlements belonging to the period 1000 to 700 BCE. To the east of the Ganga-Yamuna confluence, there existed the kingdom of Porcella. Rama, the hero of Ramayana, came to be associated with it. East of Porcella was Videha. Its king bore the title Janaka, which is mentioned more than once in the later Vedic texts. South of the Videha, on the southern side of Ganga, was the kingdom of Magadha, then of little importance. Settled life and relatively stable agriculture led to the production of a moderate surplus, and this could be collected by the king in the form of taxes paid in grain and cattle, and most probably not regularly. In the Shatapatha Brahmana, the king is described as a devourer of the people, or Vishamatta, because he lived on what was realized from them. An official called Bhagaduha collected the royal share of the produce. The list includes an officer in charge of royal treasury, or Shangrahitri, and the chief priest, Purohita. Although there was no standing army, the growth of the royal entourage enhanced the power and prestige of the king. With increasing royal pretensions and rising priestly ambitions, there took place a great development in the sacrificial cult. Several new and lengthy royal sacrifices developed, and instructions for their meticulous performance occupy much space in the later Vedic literature. The Vajapaya, or drink of strength sacrifice, lasted 17 days to a year and was believed not only to restore the strength of a middle-aged king, but also to raise him from the position of a simple Raja to the status of a Shamrat, a monarch who owned allegiance to none and who controlled several kings. The Rajashua, or royal consecration, was another complex sacrifice. The honorarium paid to the presiding priest in extreme cases amounted to 240,000 cows. The most famous, significant and complex royal sacrifice was the Asvamedha, or horse sacrifice, which lasted for 3 days, although the preparatory ceremonies extended over a year or even 2. A specially consecrated horse was set free to roam at will for a year, escorted by a chosen band of 400 warriors, so that any king trying to capture the animal might be combated. The horse was brought back to the capital at the end of the year and sacrificed among with 600 animals, including cows, bulls, goats, deer, etc. The horse sacrifice was supposed to confer victory and sovereignty, and because of this it was performed sporadically in later times. The vicissitudes of the Vedic assemblies also contributed to the enhancement of the king's power. The Vidatha disappeared completely. The other two, the Sabha and Samiti, lost their importance. In the emergent territorial state with jurisdiction over comparatively larger areas, ordinary people could hardly afford to travel long distances to attend the meeting of the popular assemblies. Those who may have attended such meetings were either chiefs or wealthy members of society. This gave an aristocratic character to the Sabha and Samiti, and took away much of their effectiveness. They lost some of their activities to the new officials called the Ratnins. The coronation rituals of the period are reminiscent of the earlier elective nature of king's office. But one text prescribes formula for existing kingship for 1, 2, and 3 generations, another for 10 generations. Thus, kingship became hereditary and gained in power. A text states that the king and the Shrotriya or learned Brahmana together would uphold dharma. Other sections of society are not mentioned. This suggests some kind of understanding and cooperation between the priest and the warriors. The necessity of this arrangement is stressed by the Shatapatha Brahmana. So this was the nature of the political structure of the Vedic age. This is the end of our today's discussion. Subscribe our channel, like our video and comment. Follow our official Facebook page. For any query, feel free to mail us. For details, see the description.